And we are live. Hello, everybody, to GravityKit Live. I'm Zach Katz.
Hey, everybody, I'm Casey.
And we've got a great show for you today, including we've got a really fun, really helpful new thing we want to demonstrate to you. We're excited to show off some new functionality. And yeah, we've got a great show. What is GravityKit Live, Casey?
Yeah, so GravityKit Live is our monthly live show where we go over some exciting product updates. We talk about some new things that are happening in the space, and we like to give you all previews of things that we're working on as well. And sometimes we also give live demos as well of certain features and functionality.
Yep. And GravityKit Live, we also answer any questions that you have. So if you are watching and you want to ask any questions about what we're currently demonstrating, or if you have any other questions that you've had in the past and you want to ask them now, go for it. We are here to answer your questions as well as show you cool stuff. So let's get down to it.
Yeah. I figured before we start, we'll just do a couple of small announcements. So let me bring up my screen, or if you can do that, Zach.
Yeah, absolutely. So WordCamp Asia is happening in 2 days. It's going to be starting February 20th to the 22nd. And Casey, will you be there?
Yes, I will. I'm currently in Manila in the Philippines, where WordCamp Asia is taking place. I'll be attending, and it's just happening in a couple days. So yeah, really excited for that. See some WordPress folks and attend some good talks. So if anybody here happens to be attending, do let me know. I'll be happy to meet up and chat about GravityKit, Gravity Forms, all kinds of WordPress stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and how should people get in touch with you if they're going to WordCamp Asia?
Yeah, you can get in touch with me by emailing me at casey@gravitykit.com.
Cool. I wish I was there, but I am not.
Yeah, I'll be the sole representative for GravityKit.
Yeah, and Gravity Forms for that matter. You're the Gravity expert at WordCamp Asia.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So some other cool things that are going on outside of the GravityKit space is the Gravity Forms released a really great update that has some powerful new functionality that people have been wanting for years, and it's happened.
Yeah, totally. So Gravity Forms recently released version 2.9. They're up to version 2.9.3 now, but they've got some new field types in here. And the first one is the image choice field, which is like a select field. It can be, it's like a radio buttons field, but it has each option has an associated image, which is really nice. And then they also have another new field type called the multiple choice field. So it's also like a select field, but you can sort of define how many options the users can select. So you can kind of see down here in the screenshot, you have these different options that you can configure. And there's another nice thing about this field. I was reading here. It says here, unlike the standalone radio buttons and checkboxes fields, the new multiple choice field lets you reorder, add, or delete choices without impacting previous form entries.
Y'all, this is big. If you've used Gravity Forms in an advanced mode for any amount of time, you might have run into this where you have a list of choices and you say, oh, I just want to add a choice in the middle here. And then in the entry data, all your entry data is messed up because it was using relational placement to determine whether and what the value of the submissions were. That's fixed now. Finally, it's a beautiful update. So happy to have this. It has some really good functionality built in, and it makes GravityView that much more stable just because they've improved the data structure of how they save the data in the back end. So we're really happy about this one. Image choice is great, looks good. The multiple choice field is also a game changer for us at GravityView, or GravityKit, but like with GravityView.
Yeah, totally. Great update. So go ahead and update your Gravity Forms install. Check out the new fields. Yeah. So I wanted to quickly mention our demo site. Everybody's probably aware of this, but we have a demo site here with a bunch of live demos for our product GravityView. And we recently added a bunch of new ones. So we've kind of revamped this a little bit. We've got some really nice live demos here. This is an example of one of the new ones, like a fundraising dashboard you can check out. So I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware. All of these demos, you can actually import them into your own website as well using Gravity Migrate, which is our solution for migrating any kind of Gravity Forms data from one website to another. So if you have a free demo site here, you can clone this site, and then once you're logged in, you'll actually be able to download these demos as a zip file, which you can import using Gravity Migrate. So that's really cool. That can kind of kickstart one of your projects. And yeah, we've got a bunch of new demos here. And if anyone has any suggestions of live demos we should add here, please do let me know. I will create one. So yeah, always looking for new suggestions and inspiration.
Ken writes, and hi Ken, I use Gravity Migrate to move the task demo to my site to track my tasks for customers. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I was just telling Casey before the call, I am a human, and I was like, oh, I don't need to think about the query that I'm writing directly to the database. And I was writing a query, and I deleted all my entries last night on my local development site. And so I used Gravity Migrate to just slurp in all the data from the demo site. And I have a bunch of excellent forms and entries now, just automatically, like no problem. So I used Gravity Migrate last night, and I was so glad that it existed because I made that a lot easier.
Awesome. So yeah, just before we get to the really exciting stuff, one more thing here. We're doing an audience research survey. So we're trying to find out a little bit more about all of our customers in the WordPress space and people building in the WordPress space, so that we can, this will help us inform our development, make sure we're catering to the needs of the WordPress community and the builder community. So it would be amazing if everyone could fill this out. It's a reasonably short survey. It takes around, on average, 10 minutes or so. And we will send you a $15 Amazon gift card as a thank you for your time. And all of the information here is anonymous, so we don't ask for your name or anything like that. We do ask for an email address where we can send you the gift card, but that's it. And yeah, it would be great if you're interested, if you could fill this out. You can go to gravitykit.com/survey. And yeah, we will send you that $15 Amazon gift card as a thank you. But make sure you stick around for the rest of the live call first. Maybe bookmark it and do it later.
Yeah, don't stop watching, but like come back to it later. But if you're watching, we want to know what your development experience is. We want to make sure that GravityKit is just totally aligned with what you're doing. And it would mean a lot to us, and hopefully $15 of goodies for you if you complete the survey. So please go to gravitykit.com/survey. We would love to have your input and have you help shape the future of GravityKit. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if anybody isn't on our newsletter list, you can sign up for that as well at gravitykit.com/newsletter. That's the best way to stay up to date with everything we're doing. But yeah, I think that's about it for announcements.
All right.
Zach, you've been working on something pretty exciting recently. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
So yeah, I do. So Casey builds incredible demos. He does awesome how-tos. I'm going to talk as if you're not here, Casey. you do incredible work building out these awesome demonstrations of the power of GravityKit. And our customers reach out to us and say, yeah, but we need a way to connect the different forms that you're building out with. Because when you're doing complex applications, you might have different forms for students and you have different forms for, like, so let's say you have a school situation. You have students, you have teachers, you have students' parents, you have classrooms and classroom availability, you have administrators, and all these people might have different information associated with them. They also have different levels of access and administrative ability to view and see what, like, and edit what their data is. And it can be complicated to connect all those into one application unless you have fields that are merging from unless you have a way to connect them all that is dynamic and is less prone to error because it's dynamic. You don't have to go in there and edit a bunch of choices to make sure everything's up to date. It all stays up to date automatically and stays in sync and is a dynamically generated field. So with that in mind, we created the dynamic lookup field. And the dynamic lookup field makes it easy to build applications by dynamically referencing and generating choices based on the values of a field in another form, based on values of WordPress users who, for example, have a list of WordPress users and say, I want to select from there. You can choose a list of I'm going to keep on list of WordPress users, or you can have submissions from a form that dynamically power the list of choices in a drop-down field, a radio field, a checkbox field, and we're going to have a live lookup field. We're working on that still. So we have a bunch of different data options currently, and we're building out other data options so that people can build more powerful applications, easier, better connected, less prone to error, and really powerful. And the kicker, we are making this free. It's a free field. We're going to be sharing it on our website, and it's free to everybody because we believe it is important enough functionality that it should be baked into your experience. And so we want to make sure to share it with you.
Yeah, and this is really exciting. It's also going to really boost what you can do with GravityView. When you're creating views, it can be really helpful to link those together, and you have this like almost like a relational database structure. So this field is going to really aid you when doing those types of things. And I'm going to go through a couple of demos to show you exactly exactly how that all works.
Vicky's ears are perking up. Vicky, I'm sure you're going to get a ton of use out of this. It's so easy, it's so powerful. And Casey, I'd love to show it off.
Yeah, I'm going to dive into it. I just want to bring up this image real quick,
Yeah.
just to kind of show everyone how this works. So this is the lookup field there on the right. You can just drag it into your form like you would with a normal Gravity Forms field type. And then you have a bunch of options in the field settings where you can select a source. That can be another Gravity Forms form, or it can be WordPress users. And then you can choose an input type. If you're populating from a Gravity Forms form, you can choose the field value that you want to populate there. You choose the input type, you can choose a sort direction. There's a bunch of more options. And then it pulls in those values dynamically, like Zach was saying, from either another form or the WordPress users that are on your website. And there's a bunch of cool options here that I'm going to go through as well. Yeah, so let me open up my site here. Can you see that, Zach?
Yep.
Cool. All right, so the first kind of demonstration of this is a fairly common use case. You can apply this to lots of different things, but I've gone with companies and employees. So you might have a form that captures company data and then a form that captures employee data, and you need a way to link the employees to the company, right? So it's kind of like a many-to-one relationship because one company might have many employees. So you can see I've got a bunch of entries already for the companies, you can see these are my companies here. I don't have any employees in there at the moment. But what I'm going to do is head over to the employees form. I'm going to edit that. And you can see at the moment it's just a regular form. It's capturing the name. There's an image that they can upload, their position, LinkedIn, URL, and email address. But now we're going to add the dynamic lookup field so they can choose which company they're working for. So we can scroll down here to the advanced fields on the right. And here is the lookup field. So we'll just drag and drop it here. There we go. And I'll just click on it to open the field settings. I'll try and zoom in a little bit here. It might be a bit difficult to see, but hopefully it's reasonably clear. So we can give it a name like we do with all fields. So it's a company. And then scrolling down, there's a bunch of nice settings that we can configure here. So the first thing to choose is the source type. So in this case, we're going to choose Gravity Forms because we want to populate this field with companies that have been submitted through a different form. So I'm going to leave that on Gravity Forms. And then I'm going to choose the source form from this drop-down field. And it's going to be my companies form. There we go. Now I can choose the source field. And in this case, I'm interested in the company name. So I'll go ahead and select that. And then we can choose an input type for the field itself. And right now we have 3 different options. It can be a drop-down, it can be a radio buttons field, or checkboxes. So let me go ahead and choose radio buttons. There we go. And you can see the preview instantly updates here. And it's already pulling in all those company names, which is awesome. And then we can choose the sort direction for the different options. We've got ascending or descending. So you can choose that. And then we have an option to only show unique values. So if you have duplicates there, it won't show those if this is checked. And then you also have an option to only show entries created by the current user. So in other words, users will only see entries that they themselves have submitted. So we'll go ahead and leave that off for now. But yeah, let's go ahead and save the form. And then we'll preview it. And you can see that the lookup field here for companies is pulling in the company names from the separate form that we had created over here. So this is pulling in dynamically. And if we were to create a new company entry, this field would immediately pull that in as another option. So what I'm going to do is actually submit a few entries here. And then what we can do is see how this works in GravityView and see how you can kind of create 2 different views, one for companies, one for employees, and then link them together. So let me go ahead and fill this out. Zach, if you want to chat a little bit while I do this, feel free.
Yeah, sure. We're really excited about this. One of the things that it can do is it has a cache because we wanted to make sure that it was performing. It didn't affect the performance on your site, and it was performant. So one of the nice things is that it has a cache for all the entry data. So anytime an entry is submitted, it clears the cache and it rebuilds the field values. But otherwise, it just pulls it directly from a stored cache data in the database. So you don't need to worry about impact on your website. And if you select checkboxes, like let's say instead of radio fields, you can definitely select multiple items from the checkboxes. And we are working to support the multiple choices form field that Gravity Forms added in 2.9. We're going to be adding support for that to make sure that all those same options are available, where you can select, you can say you must choose like a certain number of checkboxes, or you must choose more than 3, or a range of checkboxes between 5 and 7 checkboxes. We're going to be supporting all that stuff. Our goal is to get this out to people soon, and then iterate on it and make it better and better. So that stuff will be coming. And but yeah, multiple items are going to be able to be selected by checkbox.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. So I've submitted a few entries there, and I've already have a view set up here for my companies. As you can see here, it's just a simple table, and I can click into one of the companies, and I get this nice little profile. What I want to do now is actually add the employees that work at this company, and I can do that by creating a separate view and then embedding it here. And then thanks to the lookup field, we can establish a link. So we're only showing employees that work for this specific company. So I've actually already got a view kind of pre-made here for my employees. And now I actually have some entries, so that's good. So let me go ahead and just kind of preview this. So that's just a very simple list view, as you can see. So that's cool. So now I'm going to go back to the company view. Here it is. We'll go ahead and edit that. And then we're here on the single entry layout. I'm going to go ahead and add a new row here. Let's go ahead and add the same kind of row as we have above. And then I'm going to add the view field, so I can embed a gravity view. There we go. And let's change the label to employees. And then we'll select the view that we want to embed. And in this case, it's our employees view. Okay, great. And now we can establish that link that I was talking about by adding a filtering condition here. So we need to know the ID of the lookup field in our form. So let's check it out. ID is 8. Okay, so we go back to the view and put the ID in there. And then that's pulling the company name. So we want to make sure that the value there is the same as the company name on the single entry page. So we've got this set up nicely. So I think that should do it. Let's click out and update the view. And if I go back, oops, where am I now? There we go. If I go back to my company view here and go into CyberGuard, we should see, yeah, the CyberGuard employees showing up here. These are the ones that I added. And there's a third employee that works at a different company. You can see that that one isn't showing up. So we've got that a correct link established there between the two forms.
Yeah, and we're super excited about this ability to simplify the process of setting up an application like what you're just showing. And we're going to be making it a lot easier than what Casey just showed. That's not too difficult, but we want to make it all so you can just point and click and do this without having to know the field IDs and stuff. So stay tuned. We're going to be adding even more functionality to make this easier. But again, the dynamic lookup field, it's free. It'll be available within the next week or two. We're just putting the wraps on it. And we're super excited to share it with the world and get your feedback and make sure that we're building it to address all the needs that you have. Like, 80-20 rule, we want to make sure that we hit the 80 really well and address 80% of the needs really well for free. So let us know what your feedback is. We are excited to share it with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to give another quick demo just to show how it works when you're pulling in WordPress users, because I think this is another very powerful use case. Yeah, so I have another form here set up. And in this example, we're going to do coaches and clients. Okay, so this could be for like a gym, for example. And if I go to my users page, you can see I have a bunch of coaches here registered on my site. I've actually created a custom user role for coaches. And you can see I've got Coach Alice, Coach Dave, Coach Lara, etc. And these are registered WordPress users. And then I can go back to Gravity Forms. I have this client's form set up. And what I want to do is allow clients to select a coach and have those choices be dynamically pulled in from the WordPress users that I have on my site. So again, we can do that with the lookup field. Oh, I've actually got it added. Let me go ahead and remove that quick so I can demo it properly. Okay, so this is my form, very simple, just name, email, and phone. And then we want to add a field where they can select the coach. So like I did before, I'm going to go ahead and drag the lookup field in there. And let's give it a name for, let's say, coach. And then we're going to configure it like we did before. But for the source type, we're going to go ahead and select WordPress users. There we go. And then we have the option to select a user group. So we can limit the selection to a specific user role, which is a really cool feature. And I'm going to limit the selection there to the coach user role that I created. So I'll select coach. And then once again, we can select an input type. We can have radio buttons there, checkboxes, like Zach mentioned, where you can select multiple options or even just a regular drop-down field. So let me go ahead and leave it on drop-down. I'll save the form. We can preview that, and you can see how that works. So there's a drop-down field here where the user will be able to select the coach that they want. And right now, it's pulling in the coach's display name, but you can actually customize that. So if I go back to the form editor, and here I am in the lookup field options, you can see there's an option for display value. And that's set to display name, but we could change that to username, for example. And you can actually see that changing. So now it says Coach Alice, Coach Dave, etc. We could even change that to the coach's email address. We could change it to user ID, and then you can also display all of those values if you wanted to. So there's a bunch of options here. So I think that's really cool. And then, yeah, just like I showed previously, we have some additional options here for changing the sort direction. You can even sort by a specific user property as well. And then you have the option to only show unique results. And, well, these might not be applicable in this case, but yeah, so that's a really cool way to kind of link WordPress users with form entries and pull those in dynamically. So you don't have to go to Gravity Forms and manually create a drop-down field or a radio buttons field and like populate it with choices. You can just have those dynamically updating all the time. Because, coaches might come and go. So it's really nice to have that kind of automatically updating.
We have Ken asking, will conditional logic be able to be used for this field? And the answer is yes. Conditional logic should work. I believe it currently works, and it will work for the field moving forward. Yes. And Casey, as you were just describing the WordPress user process, the way to do this before is either custom code to like dynamically overwrite the choices. And I've done that in the past years ago. And there are some other plugins available, but then that's a whole situation where you have to go buy another plugin. We believe that this functionality is so important that it should be just baked into the free experience of, you already have Gravity Forms, like everybody should have access to this. So we're really excited because just as we were building this out, for example, listing the WordPress users is nice. And then choosing the display format, that's even better. And then choosing the sort field. Oh my gosh, you can sort by a different field. That's because I kept on thinking about all these different use cases. And it's so nice to have it all just in a field with settings you can point and click on, and then it works. And for free, GravityKit.com. We will sign up for our newsletter. We will be announcing it there when it's live. So make sure to sign up for our newsletter at GravityKit.com.
Yeah, really exciting. And we have lots of other exciting things coming up too. So definitely stay tuned. Join the newsletter. You'll get updates there. And yeah, Zach, do you want to talk a bit about that, or do you want to go into Q&A, or?
Sure. Vicky and Ken are both excited, and yeah, I can't wait to see what y'all do. And if you're watching live or if you're watching not live, please share what you want this field to do with support at gravitykit.com. Or you can tell us in other ways. I don't know. But email us your thoughts at support@gravitykit.com. We'd love to hear them. You could also fill out that survey at gravitykit.com/survey, and we would learn more about how you're building what you're building currently and how the lookup field, the dynamic lookup field, could be helpful for you in the future. And you get $15 Amazon gift card. But that's, like Casey mentioned, this is just like a little bit of what we've been working on. We've been working on some other cool stuff too. And I'm not going to show it off right now, but just if you're an Elementor user, we've got really kick-ass, I'll say it, it's kick-ass. It's a kick-ass Elementor widget that is super customizable. It allows you to customize things with GravityView that hasn't been able to be done before, all using the Elementor interface. I believe it's one of the better Elementor widgets out there. And we're going to be Elementor first for this functionality, but we're going to be bringing this into other, like the block editor and possibly other page builders shortly thereafter. So I'm excited about Elementor widget functionality. And I think, Casey, I think it might be ready for our next GravityKit live call. So let's book it.
Yeah, based on what I saw, it's looking pretty awesome. So yeah, we want to just make sure that we integrate really nicely with all of the existing tools that all of you use. And we know that Elementor is very popular. It's a great, it's a fantastic page builder. So yeah, it's working really hard on an awesome widget that's going to be it's going to be game changing if you're an Elementor user for sure.
Yeah, and our goal is to make sure that we address your needs, and that's why the gravitykit.com/survey. If you use another page builder, let us know. We want to know so that we can build what you need. So please fill out the survey. The Elementor widget is going to be rocking, so I can't wait to demonstrate that at some point. All right.
Awesome.
Well, Casey, we've also been we released a major update to GravityView recently that I'd love to have you show off more within the new layout builder functionality. And you showed a little bit of it earlier in the call when you were building out a view. And do you mind giving a little demo of the GravityView layout builder?
Yeah, sure. This is something we released recently, like Zach mentioned, but it's really game changing for GravityView because now you can really create custom layouts just using drag and drop rows and columns, kind of similar actually to how you would use a page builder. So let me go back to one of the views that I created here and just make sure everyone can see what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and edit this one.
Are you ready for it to be shared?
Yeah, please do. So we did give a sort of a more in-depth demo of this on our previous call, but I wanted to just highlight it again and see what people think. If anyone's been using the layout builder, please do let us know your thoughts. But essentially, what it allows you to do is create columns with different column structures. So you have really fine control over how your data is displayed in a view. So you can see in this example, I've got a row up here, and then I've got a row here with 2 columns, and then a row here with 2 columns. And one of the things you can do with the layout builder is you can click on this add row button, and then you get all these different column structures to choose from. So you can have like 100% width row, or you can have like 50% width columns. There's a bunch of different options here. And then once you add one to your layout, you can then add fields into those individual columns. And another thing you can do is actually drag and drop the rows themselves. So you can move things around like this, which is really neat. So it makes it really easy to build some really good looking layouts. And yeah, I'd just love to know if anyone's been using this and what your experience has been like.
Yeah. And this type of, I guess I'll take this moment to share some philosophy. As we've been building out the Elementor widget functionality and thinking about the future of WordPress and how we use GravityView and how our clients are using GravityView, we've been seeing GravityView being used as an application builder that is used in concert with page builders, and not necessarily as a replacement to page builders. So like embedding GravityView is embedding an application inside a page. And so instead of being page builder first and having everything built out and configured inside the page builder, we are application first and then embedded in the page builder. So that's our approach. And that's where, our Elementor widget, our Gutenberg block, and other integrations that we're going to be working on in the future. That's the approach that we're doing, where you make the decisions about the structure of your content in GravityView editor, and then you embed and configure and style that inside the page builder. So in terms of choosing what users have the ability to view fields, or the fields that are even embedded in the view, those are all configured in the application, in the view. And then you embed it and style it and configure it. And the number of results might be able to be configured in the page builder, but not who can see the results or the pre-filtered search results if you have a subset of the values that are being embedded in the app. So that's kind of the distinction that we've been working under. And I think it's the way that we're heading moving forward, because we're an application builder, and applications are not the same as paragraphs, and they're not the same as like more I don't know, it's a different category of content.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good summary of what we do and the kind of direction that we're heading, for sure.
Cool. So we're at the point where we can talk about some Q&A items. Please, if you're watching live, please ask questions. We're happy to answer them. And I just wanted to highlight something Ken said earlier. My client and I were just discussing a way to improve an entry process, and they asked if there was a way to look things up. There is, and it's going to be free. So we will make this live as soon as possible, and we'll let you all know. But let's get to the Q&A.
Yeah, sure. I'll kick it off.
All right.
There was a question that came in here from Sue, who says, "Hi guys, I would love to watch your show, but we'll be on holidays. Will it be available to watch at a later date?" And I just wanted to say, yes, it absolutely will be. All of the GravityKit live shows are recorded. You can watch them on our YouTube channel, or you can go to gravitykit.com/live. Where's that link? Here it is. And all of the replays are available there to watch. So if you do miss a show, or if you'd like to go back and watch a previous one, you can catch them all on our website or on our YouTube channel.
And we also have the YouTube channel is here. But don't worry, for those who think about it, we have also let Sue know this off air, so that we're not telling her how to watch it pre-recorded if she doesn't already know. That was just an attempt at a joke, but it didn't work. Okay. Next up, we have a question about tables with auto sums.
Yeah, so that's a really interesting question. Not exactly sure what kind of auto sum you might be looking for. but I thought I'd quickly highlight what you can do with Gravity Math, because there's some powerful functionality there. So let me open up if you can share my screen there again, Zach. Yeah, so with Gravity Math is one of our add-ons that allows you to perform calculations on your form data, and it also integrates really nicely with GravityView. So if you have a table, if you create a table with GravityView, you can show your Gravity Forms entries here. And then if you have numerical data, you can perform footer calculations with Gravity Math. So you can see at the bottom, I'm actually calculating the average for this column, or for all three of these columns. And this is all using Gravity Math. And as you receive new entries, these calculations will update. So this is one example of having a table with numerical data where you have calculations kind of built in. But there's other things you can do, of course, with Gravity Math. You can also create summary reports of your data, which allows you to kind of group entries by a common field value and then perform calculations on those on that data. So one example would be like looking at the average, in this case, would be like the average revenue per industry or something. That's also possible just using Gravity Math. You don't need GravityView. So there's a couple of different ways to kind of go about this. But I'd encourage you to look into Gravity Math. You can find it on our website here. And you should be able to find all the kind of information you need to assess if this is something that can fulfill your needs.
Yeah, and it works well with the GravityView data tables layout as well. So if you dynamically search and sort or search and filter your data using data tables, that number does get recalculated as you see the results dynamically show up, and so that might be the answer to table with AutoSum. So thank you for the question. Keep them coming. A request: when you ask questions, please be as clear as you can in terms of what you're trying to accomplish, because that helps us answer your question. And related to that request, our next question is, how do you get Gravity Flow working? And this has a few different approaches depending on what the intent of the question was. Let's address those.
Yeah, so Gravity Flow, if you're not familiar, is another add-on in the space. Kind of enhances Gravity Forms. You can create like automated workflows and things like that. Gravity Flow does integrate with GravityView. So what this particular person might be asking is, how do I get these two plugins to work together? And I would point you to the documentation on the Gravity Flow site as well as our site. We have a lot of guides related to this. So as you can see here, Gravity Flow have this article on their doc site titled GravityView Overview. And they kind of go through like how you can get these two things working together. So for example, here you can, using GravityView, you can like recreate the workflow inbox that Gravity Flow has. Because in GravityView, we do support the different Gravity Flow field types that you can add to a view. So you can read this article, and it'll have everything you need to kind of get this set up. But there is additional documentation here as well. So there's another article on the Gravity Flow site about setting up this claim entry functionality with GravityView. So like if you have a directory and you want people to be able to claim a listing, you can do that using Gravity Flow. And again, the two integrate really nicely. So there's a whole guide about how to get this set up. And then again, we have plenty of docs related to Gravity Flow and GravityView on our own doc site as well. So there's quite a few resources here. It just depends on what your use case is and exactly what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and Vicky says, I use Gravity Forms, Gravity Flow, and GravityView for our purchasing request and approval system. It works great.
Awesome.
So that's great to hear. Yeah. So yeah, docs from their site, docs from our site. You can always ask support@gravitykit.com any questions that you have. Our support team is here to help you accomplish your goals, whatever they may be. So email support@gravitykit.com if you ever have any questions like this about how to do anything, whether or not it involves GravityKit products. We want to help you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, next up. I've always had the feeling that GravityKit could work for us for certain projects, but have never been able to fully assess what is possible, often due to time constraints, time restraints, or lack of example, says Simon. Yeah, it's I hear you, Simon. We've been, GravityKit's 10 years old now, and it's a hard thing to explain what it does because it's an application builder. At, at large level, like build an application. Well, what does that mean? There are so many different types of applications. Well, you can display a chart. That's one piece of an application. You can display a table, or you can display like custom layout of data dynamically populated by a form. It's very hard to explain. And this is a problem that we've always had. And Casey's done, I think, as good a job as humanly possible. But there's always more we can do to explain all the possibilities with GravityKit. Casey, what do you think about this question? Like, how do we help people fully assess what's possible?
Yeah, it's always a challenge when you have such a flexible suite of plugins. It's like, well, you can pretty much do anything, but
Yeah.
of course it can be overwhelming. So what we try to do is just give you as many kind of examples as possible. Like I mentioned earlier, we have our live demo site, which I think is a great place to go around and browse and kind of get an idea for the types of things that you can build and how these things might work. So I would always encourage going to the live demos and taking a look at those. And then we also have on our website, we have this page at gravitykit.com/buildit, where we have a bunch of guides and tutorials about building different types of applications. And I know a lot of our customers use this and find inspiration in this. So this is also a great place to go and browse and just kind of see like, okay, what can I do with these tools? And you'll find out that there's a lot of different things you can do. But once you kind of go through a few of these tutorials, you start to see how the pieces fit together.
Right.
And GravityView really is the core of how this all works. And once you kind of get familiar with how GravityView works, I think everything becomes quite intuitive, and you can start to see how these different use cases come about. So yeah, like check out the live demo site. You can clone it, get your own copy. You can play around in the back end, see how the things work, go through a couple of our guides. And that should give you a really good idea of how things integrate and how things work together.
Yeah, and I think that part of it is a fun foundational understanding of how applications are structured, where there's a term called CRUD in software. It's called it represents create, read, update, and delete, and those are the stages of interacting with data in an application. So Gravity Forms creates the data. When the form is submitted, that's the C in CRUD. Reading the data is viewing the data in GravityView, and you can configure the fields that are displayed. Or in Gravity Charts case, it's displaying the chart. Or in Gravity Maps case, it's displaying the calculations that are done based on that Gravity Forms or other data. That's the read. That's the R in CRUD. Update, Gravity Edit updates data. GravityView updates data. And delete, GravityView can update the data. So when you're dealing with CRUD applications, and I forgot Gravity Actions can also update, Gravity Export can also read. But when you're dealing with CRUD applications, thinking about it in that way can be helpful. Like, what do I need to create to display, to edit and update, and then delete? So when you think about building an application, thinking about it in terms of CRUD applications can be helpful, but then also breaking it down into the different types of data you're trying to model and say like, okay, I have a student registration, and there's one student, they have multiple classes. These classes are another form. The students are one form, the classes are another form, like Casey was representing earlier with one of his demos with students and classes and teachers. So that, I think taking a little bit of time and trying to think about the data structures is going to be really helpful for how to solve it. And that's where GravityKit can fill in the pieces once you have an understanding of what you're trying to build. The other thing, though, is that we offer consultations. If you're not sure, you can talk to me about it, and I can help you figure out how this works. I was just speaking with somebody with a martial artist who has like a martial arts tournament, and help them identify, the athlete, the gym, the trainers, the events. These are all different data structures that you can then combine into GravityKit. So, have any questions about this? Talk to me. GravityKit.com/consultation. It's free. I'm happy to do it, and I'd love to hear what you're trying to accomplish and help you do that. Ken says the Casey studies are always great. Oh, I so agree.
Thank you, Ken.
All right. Next up, importing data from MySQL databases. A quick tutorial would be helpful. David, I agree, and I'm happy to provide one. So, let me share my screen. And
if anyone has any other questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat, and we will get to them afterwards. So please don't be shy. You're welcome to put a question in there for us.
Yeah. So let me share a different window, actually, or share my entire screen. I'll do that. Okay. Cool. So I have a database that has a table, and this table has 50 rows, and I want this to be in Gravity forms instead of in a table. And this is all random generated data. This is not actual people. So then I go to my website where I have GravityKit installed. And this is actually a demo site for the import entries. So if you go to gravityimport.try.gravitykit.com, you can run this yourself at the Gravity Import demo site that Casey created. So you go to forms. Okay, there's information about the new image choice field. Forms import/export. Import entries, and this is using import entries, our add-on, so you have to install it and activate it first. But when you do, you will be presented with the upload CSV field. I go to the database. Their database managers often have a way to export. I click export, and I export the table that I'm trying to export. I already did this, so it's already saved. So I'm going to go to my website, click this field, select the CSV file that I just exported from the database. And here's the cool thing. You can say, create a new field, create a new form, new Gravity Forms form based on this CSV data. And I'm going to call it example for live, because that's what this is. And now you see the same data here that was in the table plus database here. So the first name, last name, company rows, first name, last name, company rows. We get to choose here the field types in Gravity Forms. So by default, most things become a single line text. We try to parse it. Sometimes it doesn't work properly. That's the nature of data. But first name and last name, there's a specific field for that, and it's the name field. So I'm going to choose, and you might not be able to see that. I chose the name field from the field type. And you can now choose the different columns from the data set and map them to the fields, the inputs in a name field. So you can say first name mapped to the first name column, last name mapped to the last name column. And then do that also for the address field. and I'm selecting from an address field, and you get presented with the same thing here. Address, address line 2, city, state, zip, country I don't think is in the data set, save. And that will all these rows, the address, city, state, those will become mapped to a single field. Now, county, there's no field for that yet in the address field. So honestly, I don't want to import that. I'm going to click the little box that says do not import. I don't want the county field, turns out. Phone field has been mapped to a phone, same phone type input with Gravity Forms, same with the fax field, email field, and the web I'm going to have be URL website. There we go. Website field type. So now that I've mapped the fields, I'm going to click continue with import. And if there are any errors, just keep on going. Or you can say, hey, I only actually want to import the data when the state is California. And we can do that here if we wanted to. You could say that only when the state is CA, and then it would only import the California data. But I don't want to do that today. You can also choose to enable email notifications. So if you want to backfill the notifications for like forms submitted, you could do that if you wanted to. Those will not probably run when you're dynamically creating a form though. So I don't think this field is accurate for this process. But create form and continue with import. And then view imported records. And then when you view, you can see there's a name field, an address field mapped the ways that we just configured it. And all that stuff is now available in Gravity Forms instead of in your database.
That's amazing. And it created that form automatically for you during the import process.
Yeah, and so if you have forms already existing on your website, you can choose to import into existing forms and choose the fields that a form already has. And you can also add additional fields to that same form that exists already. Or you can continue with creating a new form just like I showed. So you have the option to import into existing or creating new.
Awesome, yeah, and that's using our add-on called Gravity Import. So you can check that out on our website as well.
Yeah, so thanks for the question. And yeah, I think that's it for the Q&A that were pre-submitted. If you're watching live, if you have any questions, please ask now.
Yeah.
And otherwise, we want to remind you one more time to please go to gravitykit.com/survey, do yourself a favor, and get $15 Amazon gift card. I mean, $15 for 10 minutes of, like, I mean, honestly, if you're sitting at a desk and you're maybe like about to take lunch and you're not wanting to, you've finished up another task and you're kind of in the lull, go to gravitykit.com/survey, fill out a survey, and get a $15 Amazon gift card where you could maybe order some like instant coffee that makes you happy even while at work or something like that. I don't know. Gift cards are good.
Yeah, please do. It would really help us out, and you'd be directly influencing our roadmap for our development and our marketing. So
right, that too. So not only the ability to buy like digital media if you want, but also help improve the tools that you use every day with GravityKit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Cool.
Well,
yeah.
Casey, thank you for an excellent GravityKit Live. And thank you all for watching. Zach. And yeah, if you have any questions for our next GravityKit Live, please go to gravitykit.com/live and submit your questions there. And the more detail, the better. And we are happy to answer any questions. You can also go to gravitykit.com/consultation and talk directly to me, and I can answer your questions on a Zoom call. But yeah, also subscribe to our newsletter at gravitykit.com, because we will be sending out, as soon as we release the new dynamic lookup field, you will be the first to know in the newsletter. And It will be free, and it will be awesome, and it will be coming soon.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, thanks everybody, and have a good rest of your day.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Bye.